Hello and welcome back to 4FS Gaming. Today we are looking at my high performance loadout. This is the setup that I will run when it's time to get sweaty and win fights. It hits hard and I tend to perform very well with it compared to most other loadouts. Before we start, it is important to remember that in Hunt Showdown, your ability to use your gear is far more important than the gear itself. So the best weapon in Hunt is the one that you personally perform best with. Despite that, I feel like this loadout does have a decent edge. I'm going to go through each component of the loadout and then we're going to look at some tactics and gameplay. So for the primary weapon, I can't pass up on the Mosin Nagant. The Mosin is really Hunt's premier rifle. It outperforms all of its competition, and as discussed in a previous comparison video, it really is much better than the Lebel despite surface similarities. It's this combination of range, bullet velocity, penetration, raw damage, and it means that the Mosin competes regardless of your position. Other endgame weapons like the Nitro, Aftermath, or Crowner King have severe limitations, and although they excel in a very tight niche, they are absurdly easy to play around once you know that the enemy is holding one. The Mosin has no such problems. Even its reload is super snappy, so there's very little downtime when fighting with this weapon. The great thing about the Mosin is that it almost always kills in 2 hits if the target is within 60 meters, so unless you're hitting limbs with both shots, it is very consistent, and consistency keeps you alive. For my secondary weapon, I will usually pair the Mosin with an uppercut. Now this is a very predictable and boring setup, you've seen it 1,000 times before, but many players use it for very good reasons. Having an uppercut means that you have more ammo reserves, and it lets you pick up more ammo from crates. This is really important because having an excess of ammunition allows you to fire probing shots into cover, through walls, and fish for those lucky shots, or just maintain constant pressure in a firefight without worrying about running low on bullets. With this combination, you don't have to worry about fire discipline. You miss every shot that you don't take, so take lots of shots. In the past, the uppercut was also a great secondary because you could quick swap after a hit with the Mosin for an almost instant follow-up, but recent changes have limited this somewhat. However, you can still fire this uppercut shot off as a follow-up hit faster than if you were to bolt the Mosin and shoot with that primary weapon again. So it is faster, but you have to put up with increased sway on the pistol, and then that will reduce your accuracy. So if you do need a second shot very quickly, then swapping to your secondary will be faster, and it's still viable. Now another popular secondary, of course, would be the Dolch. The Dolch is pound for pound the best weapon in Hunt. It is so far beyond every other sidearm when it comes to power, with the fire rate, ammo capacity, reload damage, everything, it's just so strong. So yeah, if you wanted a secondary that will confidently outcompete Winfields at mid and close range so that you can push anywhere with your Mosin without thinking, and then you can still have a top tier CQC weapon, then the Dolch is a good choice. You will be passing up on the extra ammo, so you'll have to be more careful with your shots. Personally, I don't take the Dolch a whole lot. Not because it's about double the price of the uppercut, but just because it's kind of cheesy. In a game with bolt action rifles, single shot weapons, classic revolvers, crossbows, semi-automatic weapons like the Dolch just feel a little bit out of place. It doesn't go with the aesthetic of what I really love about Hunt. And so in the case of the Dolch, it's just kind of easy mode. But yeah, if you want to win and you also want everyone to hate you, then use the Dolch. So with the weapon setup, let's look at our tools. Now this loadout leans pretty heavily on tools and consumables, so these choices really matter. Firstly, we have the knife. I love the knife. I know other choices for melee tools can outperform the knife in PvE, but honestly the AI are basically never an issue once you learn the game and the map traversals. The knife is there for killing players. If you lean into using the knife as an aggressive tool, you will find many opportunities for some great kills. You have to pick your moment, of course. When someone is sitting with a shotgun, it's not a good idea, but a distracted target, someone that's healing or reloading, they're very easy to pick off with the knife, and I actually prefer the knife rush over using, say, fanning on the uppercut, as I find landing that head stab is much more consistent than spamming high recoil fanning. Now this video is not where I'm going to go into a whole lot of detail about why the knife is statistically better than all the other melee tool options. You just need to know that it's because it has the highest damage stab, and stabbing attacks are firstly much easier to aim onto the head, and secondly have a higher range than slashing attacks. After the knife, I take the medkit. This should be self-explanatory, everyone needs a medkit. The third and fourth tool slots are where your preferences come in. Now I really like the flare pistol. Because the knife is more limited in PvE for clearing bunches of AI, the flare pistol is a really rapid way to take down an armored or a hive at range and relatively silently. without using any stamina either. So it really opens up new routes in a fight, because you can instantly delete a concertina armored with 0 downtime during a push, a rotation, or while falling back. And you can also shoot your teammates with it when extracting, and that's the real bonus here. Now finally, I also take choke bombs pretty much every single match that I'm not solo these days. They are a hard counter to any attempts to burn your down teammates. You can take your time to win a 1v2 or a 1v3 and you know your teammates are safe. They also allow you to extinguish burning enemies for extra loot. They can act as alarms by blocking off doorways so people start coughing when they come in. They can help you push into places covered in fire by clearing that fire. They're also a hard counter to poison clouds, they will disperse them. Choke bombs are now a really versatile piece of kit, especially as you can just get them back from toolboxes scattered around the map.
You got a choke.
Gonna do some reload.
I love that. Peeks into it. Yes.
Fuck, fuck, fuck.
Oh fuck, I've got no fucking stamina.
As for consumables, it's a simple matter to me. I will always take 2 vitality shots. These are critical because they can get you back into a fight instantly, even after being hit in the chest by sparks. Having to scrounge around for heals is never a good thing in a team fight because it puts so much more extra pressure on your partner. This setup means that you will almost never be in that situation. It's all about minimizing downtime so you can be aggressive and keep engaging. I then run 2 frag bombs. Yep, that's right, frag bombs. They've been nerfed over and over, but frags are still absolutely the king of throwables. Some recent testing indicated that they have double the kill range of a dynamite bundle, and they can cause tier 3 bleeding through walls. Don't mess with frags. They kill campers, they prevent heals, and they are perfect initiators against teams hiding in buildings. So before we talk about tactics, it is worth quickly mentioning traits. Now there are a few traits that I will get pretty much straight away because they are excellent. They include things like Doctor, Greyhound, Pack Mule, Serpent. I really can't praise any of those highly enough. I know I made a trait tier list a while ago, but that's a bit out of date now. Traits that I don't tend to take are things like Fanning, because I prefer rushing with a knife. Maybe I'll take Whispersmith or Silent Killer to make that knife rush a little bit more effective. Traits like Gator Legs and Beast Face are also really nice. But the one which I don't want anyone to sleep on at this point is Lightfoot. Hunt Showdown is essentially a game of positioning, and if you're positioned in a place where your opponent didn't know you could get to without them knowing, then that pretty much will net you a kill almost every time as long as you have somewhat acceptable aim. They assume they'll be able to hear you climbing that ladder or vaulting that little bit of wood, but they don't, and then you get a kill. Actually, I'm going to stop talking about traits now. I need to make a new video on that. Let's move on. So this loadout is pretty good at closing. Now what do I mean by closing? I mean it kind of folds down the range tiers after you initiate. So it likes to initiate from long to mid-range. It's usually the point at which the enemy is detected. Your rifle is really good at that range. It's got high bullet velocity, it maintains its damage really well, it works at long range. What you're looking for at this point is an initiation moment. This could be a headshot or a body hit that forces someone to heal, and from that point you start to fold in and close in on the wounded target or surviving players. The wallbang potential of long ammo means that targets have to be careful when they're trying to heal, because you can just shoot through so many different things. You can keep really high pressure on as you approach by just probing out with these shots that go through cover where your enemy might be standing. Now, why would you want to close in when you have a long ammo weapon? Well, there's kind of this point at around 50 meters where a Mosin is still way more effective than a Winfield, and obviously still way outside the effective range of a shotgun, where it just makes it so much more easier to actually finish fights and kill people. In Hunt, you don't want long drawn out fights. If you stay far away from another team, exchanging shots over a large distance, people are healing, two things tend to happen. Firstly, you run low on supplies, ammo, and heals. Secondly, a third team will come in and kill one of you. Now that's just a roll of the dice, really. Who are they going to kill? Your opponents or you? You don't want to get third-partied, so finish fights quickly. That's why we like to close in. When we close in, that's when the frags come into play. Once you enter frag range, you just start throwing. Now normally after getting a hit with a Mosin, the kill can be easily secured by a frag. If you're throwing frags, you've probably pushed into a range where the Mosin becomes uncomfortable to use, so you need to be careful. The Dolch, Winfield, shotguns, they're all going to be lethal if you get too close with what is essentially a marksman rifle. But you do have penetration, and that means you can control cover with explosives and the ability to shoot through enemy cover. This is something that none of those close range weapons are particularly good at. Once the enemy's really on the defensive, it's knives out if you really need it. Of course, you can just stay back 80 meters and dominate with the highest damage bolt-action rifle in the game, but you have to be careful of being third-partied, so watch your rotations. To finish off, we're going to look at just a couple of clips to show how the versatile elements of this loadout allow you to maintain control during multiple phases of a fight. Take note of how important tools and consumable use is in compensating for the limitations of the Mosin as a primary weapon. You'll notice that I also sometimes use the Mosin Sniper, which trades the ability to reload rapidly with a much more potent sight. Some people will tell you that the sniper scope gives way too much magnification, and I used to think this too, but after playing with snipers a lot, you do get used to it, and at close range, eventually you'll find it has the same effectiveness as iron sights. We're crossing. Under. Where? Where from? Hit. Left, they're on left. Two. Is that the guy that killed you? Nah, fuck. That's not. That's absolutely just kill zone.
I got two people more.
Distance?
Not far, edge of compound.
Yeah, up in fence. You shooting at him?
Yeah, he's coming around this side. Yeah. Other guy.
Hit. Running left. Behind them. Nice.
Got another person out here. Somewhere.
Distance.
I didn't scan for long enough to get a good distance. Not too far though, just on the edge of the field, maybe.
Headshot.
Nice. Where's this other one?
And that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and a special thank you to our Patreon supporters as well. Good luck out there in the bayou, and Happy New Year. This is Ascendance from 4FS Gaming.